Take a deep breath in, baby. How the heck are you? How's your summer going? I know many of us have been in a heat wave. Whew, whew. Some of you are saying, oh, Sandy, 100 degrees is nothing. Well, it's been a lot for me. That's all I have to say. But welcome to, hey, I got something to say. And Pax is in the house. Hi, Pax.
Woo-hoo. Hey, hey.
So Pax lives right near me, believe it or not, 20 minutes away. And I'm sure everyone's talking about the heat. No?
Yeah, maybe. I think given today is a little cooler in our neck of the woods, we're not
Yeah.
talking about it, thankfully. But last week, oh, when we hit 100 and 101, we're talking about it. We
Yeah.
are talking about it.
No matter where we go, it's like, whew, whew. And I think that's okay. I think it's like something that's bringing us together. I think it's fine. But now today
Yeah,
it's like 30 degrees cooler and I'm out there with a jacket. And I'm like, okay, all right, I can do this. But anyhow, I know you're tuning in from all over the world. And some of you are going to be like, Sandy, here in Greece, do you know what it was? And I get it. I get it. But
I was
I
gonna
love
say, like, I have family in India, and in the summer months, April, May, June, in Delhi, in the Delhi area, 110 is like normal, you know? So I was just thinking about that last week, that for them, this 101 might be a break in the weather, but it's all relative
it's all
and it's life.
relative
So,
and it's all what we get acclimated to, right? And our just like our minds, our bodies adjust. And if we're
exactly.
used to it, it is just easier. And if we're not, it takes a little beat. But
It's okay.
anyhow, I just had to mention that because this is my first podcast I did since the weather. And everybody's been telling me about it, and I get it. But I think if they were asking me if I thought it was a good or bad thing that we talk about it. I think the way it is, I think it's a good thing we talk about it with each other. It's a conversation piece. That's what I
Yes.
think. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. But now we're going to tell you about Pax Tandon. Did I say that right? Pax
You did.
Tandon?
Perfect.
Okay. It's an easy name. Is a mindfulness and positive psychology expert. I like that. Award-winning author and well-being coach dedicated to helping individuals flourish. I love that. Through her work, she empowers people of all ages with practical tools to cultivate resilience, purpose, and authentic well-being in an increasingly complex world. She is founder and CEO of the Mindfulness Matters for Teen Well-Being MMTW program. Woo, woo. A 12-week online experience for teenagers ages 13 to 18, designed specifically to support their mental, physical, and emotional well-being during life's most pivotal developmental phase, which we'll make sure we get into. I think it's freaking awesome. So I got to talk to many of my guests I don't get to talk to beforehand, well, a few minutes before we start, but I got to talk to Pax all about it. So I'm very excited for her new journey. But before we dive into that, I don't think I've heard this for a beat. So this is good. I mean, we talk a lot about mindfulness, and everyone has a slight different bend on what it means to them. So I never get tired exploring it. But when I asked Pax, what would you want to tell women and men that support us around the world, her power statement, she said, mindfulness matters. And the gold in life is finding ways to practice it and model it, especially for parents. All right, let's do it in two parts. Let's do it just in general, and then let's do it for parents. And also, keep in mind throughout 17 years I've been podcasting, not recently, but we've had a lot of different people come on and talk about mindfulness. And and I always learn something new and a different perspective of what people mean, and it's always slightly different. So I want to dive in first what it means to you, and then how it could benefit everyone, and then specifically parents. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Alrighty, I got my mushroom tea. We're good.
All right, rock
I'm sorry,
on.
mushroom coffee.
That
My
means
bad.
you're ready. That means things are flowering open. So your mug full of flowers. I mean, speaking of things being relative, and Relativity is like subjectivity. That intrigues me. I was smiling when you were saying mindfulness means different things to different people,
Mm.
because in my mind, it's it's pretty simple and it's pretty universal. And it's just about being present to what is, right? So the real buzzword, if I could distill mindfulness down into one word, it would be presence, right? And if I would expand that a little bit, to qualify better what it means, mindfulness is the non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. Same thing as setting.
Ah,
Aha,
ah,
bing bing, sparky sparky.
shoot. That's the
Yeah,
rainbow.
and that's baked into, to my saying being present to what is, right? Because a non-judgmental awareness essentially means the same thing. You are allowing space for your experience to be exactly what it is without exerting any control over it, without needing to change it, just accepting what is. And the power in being able to do that in our lives is the gold that I was speaking to. So that, generally speaking, is my power statement of life, because as I have found on my journey, mindfulness matters because the ability to be present to what is what allows us to experience life as it's really happening. All we really have is this moment right now. What happened yesterday is gone. What happens tomorrow is a yet to be, unpredictable. And so all we really have in our reality is right now. So the ability to be in the right now fully is mining the gold of life.
Okay. So let's stay with that and let's give an example because they love examples or stories.
Yeah.
And if you're saying mindfulness just means, okay, I'm present here now, you're going to have people say, well, what do you mean? I'm always present here now. Like, I don't have a choice. So give us an example of what that truly means.
Yeah, I have a great example that's so relevant to my life and relevant for so many people as far as grieving, loss and grieving. So we lost my father some months ago, and we had a memorial service for him a couple of weeks ago. And it's been over 2 weeks since the memorial service. For my mother, it's like it happened an hour ago. She's still
Mhm.
so present with the experience on all levels. Who was in attendance, how the flow went, the reception, the different components moving and shaking around it. And yesterday, I took her to a doctor's appointment, and it was still so present for her. And I wondered, is this healthy? Is it healthy for her to be still so attached to that moment, that experience? Isn't a memorial service supposed to be like saying goodbye, closure? And I realized that I was judging my perspective of her response to the memorial service from the lens of yesterday, as in the things that I had known to be true about other memorial services and what they look like, feel like, act like, and my perception of the amount of time maybe that one should take and then be able to move forward. And that's tomorrow. And I realized that in that moment that she was speaking, that none of that was real. What was real was
Mm.
what was happening, was her response. And being mindful to that moment, being present, meant just holding the space for her to express whatever was really happening. And in doing that, in not exerting any control over the situation or her to be somewhere else, I was able to find this highly compassionate, empathetic, patient, kind, loving response. And her reaction to that in the dynamic was just evident. She was calm, relaxed, she felt peaceful, she felt able to express to me in a vulnerable, real way. And
Huh.
that is the juice of life. That's like exactly what we're going for every moment, isn't it? And the funny thing is, it's really only in retrospect that we realize when we don't bring that sort of self to a dynamic, we feel really badly about it. We don't like it. And it's through the portal of my father's passing that I've really come to see this so crisply. It's never the moments that I walked away from a conversation with him because I had so much work to do that mean anything to me now. In fact, they make me feel badly. The only thing that matters to me are the moments when I actually showed up, when I was present with him in whatever he wanted to share. The only thing that sticks with me in a heavy-hearted way is when I didn't do that. And so the mindfulness
Mm.
really matters through the portal of the example that I just gave, because it makes so evident what's really important in life. And so to be able to be present with what is and not what you think something should be, or what something might have been in the past but isn't actually what's happening right now, that's the juice.
Okay. So I get the big picture of it, and it's something that I research a lot, and I also spend time checking myself to see if I'm in the present moment, like am I really present here? But I now want to give us an example of everyday life. Like you're just going through your day, you're talking to a friend, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it that you're able? So, for example, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and I'm truly listening to you. I'm taking every word in, and sometimes I take notes because I want to come back to it. And I'm able to listen to everything you're saying. Are you saying that the same thing with individuals in general, that you're not with them, but thinking about what you have to do tomorrow, what you have to do the next day, what happened 2 weeks? I just want to break it down because I got so many questions about that because
Yeah.
they still are unsure, like, okay, so I'm sitting there with a friend and I'm really listening to my friend, but that's present. Not present is I'm thinking about what I got to do tomorrow or what happened last week. I don't want to simplify, but let's just go everyday
That's right.
activity. Let's
That's
go
really
everyday
how it
activity.
shows up. And you're right. I mean, it is subtle. It's nuanced. It's not a crisp black and white scenario, but the way we practice has to be a little bit black and white so that we can get to the substance of finding our presence in the way that it best serves. So, one of the favored and common practices in mindfulness groups and communities, like when we're really practicing and learning together. I'm part of a mindfulness group right now with my mom. And one of the things we really practice is mindful listening, active listening. And that's that same idea that when somebody else is speaking, we practice looking at them. When they look up to meet our gaze, we're looking right back at them. We never
Yeah.
drop our gaze from them as they're speaking. Point being that it allows them to feel literally seen, and then of course listen to. And when you activate like that, you do turn on mirror neurons in your brain so that you are finding a resonance with somebody that's possible in a different way than if your mind is distracted. And then in a material way, if I'm really listening to what you're saying, I can then respond with very intelligent questions,
Yeah.
right? And now we're starting to cultivate a connection that's founded and grounded on something very real. We're all aware, aren't we, in everyday life, when someone's eyes glaze over as we're talking, or when they ask us a question or like give us a ha, it's very obvious whether they're with us or not. And to whatever degree they're actually actively listening to us, we feel better about the dynamic and the conversation. And if they're not, we're like, this is over here, like not even listening to me. Like it doesn't feel good, and you don't have a good impression of the other person sitting across from you. Let's say it does not make for authentic connection. And I will add to this that in positive psychology, in that realm, there's a couple called the Gottmans who do a lot of couples work psychology, and they can predict to a very high degree which couples will stay together and which couples will get divorced. So this just underscores the possibilities of cultivating strong relationships or not. And what they have discovered is that active listening, another phrase I think for mindful listening, like really
Yep.
listening and paying attention to what someone is saying, is a very high predictor of couples staying together. There are three other forms of listening: passive, destructive, you know, passive is
Yeah.
destructive, but it's passive. Active, constructive is the tops. And the other three are predictive of divorce. The same rules apply to all relationships. You create cohesion, you synthesize a real connection in relationship when you actively and constructively listen. That is, you are like with someone, taking in what they're saying, and your responses are constructive. They're positive. They're formulated around supporting someone in what they're saying, right? So I point out that kind of researched example from positive psychology to highlight what I'm saying about mindfulness in life and in dynamic. It really does matter. It really does make a difference to the way that we connect with people and relate to people. And our relationships are, if not the highest, one of the highest drivers of our well being in life. So it really matters that we care about the way we're relating to people and we work on relating mindfully, so that that primary driver of well being is something that we're really flexing every day.
This is funny because I know it's not a funny subject, but I'm cracking up inside. I'm thinking that the reason I love hosting podcasts is for several reasons. One, I love highlighting anyone that's making a positive difference in the world, right? I love it. Two, I learn something new every single time, which is great. But three, as much as I like to talk, I love listening. Like I could listen forever and I'm fascinated. And I want and my friends always go, "Oh my God, I have so many more questions," because I'm truly listening and it's getting my brain to go in so many, which is me. All right, so let's just take that now, Pax.
Yeah.
And my friends just recently, last week, were telling me, and I don't know how you think about this, but I told them I was going to bring it up, that it's not good, bad, or ugly, but most people are not good listeners. And that it's a skill that I guess I've developed from a very young age, but that most people, even if they love and care about you, they really can't listen to you. And like most of the world, like 5% are great listeners, but they're already waiting to say what they have to say. Or if you say something, they're they're just going to bring it back to them. And that this other woman, who's the psychiatrist therapist, she's like, because we're wired to be selfish. Like we're thinking already when the person's talking, oh, you should hear what happened to me. So that people truly aren't listening to respond to what you have to say unless they're paid. Holler. You know what I mean? Okay. So it brought up all these, oh my God, questions. And I get it. And then because of how they're wired with the phones recently, it is really difficult. Like I don't keep my phone with me. I mean, I do for business, but people know if they call me, it's over there because I want. If I'm creating, I'm creating. If I'm with you, I mean, I'm here now because my phone's here because the notes are on my phone. But it drives me crazy. Like in the middle of dinner, in the middle of lunch, they'll be, and they don't even know they're doing it. So it's like a habit they formed. And I go, you,
Addiction.
yeah. And I'm like, you can't be that important. Like I'm joking. I get if your kid is, I know Matt, but it's been a big thing recently because I've seen very caring, loving, amazing humans. I'm like, yo, I was just talking
Mm-hmm.
and it's not there. So
Mm-hmm.
then they say to me, well, why don't you tell us? I'm like, because. it would go nowhere or it'd be come back to you. And they're like, that's not true. I go, it's true. So I know that's a lot, but it was like such a fun, and it wasn't mean. It was a fun dinner. So how do you feel about that? Most people, only 5% of the world really can listen and care about what you're saying, and we're selfish and we're not wired to be that way, and we already or it's too much down the rabbit hole of the phones. I don't know.
Mm, I don't believe so. If I did, I wouldn't be launching this teen well-being program, Gratitude
Well, they have
Mindfulness.
hope. They have hope.
Yeah, and the thing is that's real because their brains are developing so rapidly at this time in their life. They have their brain development on their side with the
Yeah.
hope. Hope is not lost. I've taught clients of all ages, to like the very elders and seen change happen. It's the brain is plastic throughout the lifetime. It's possible to form new circuits at whatever age. And I'm in this mindfulness group with many, elders like plus 65.
Oh,
So,
cool.
they gravitate to it, they love it, and you can see the change happening. So, there's hope. Um, Maybe over the course of time, evolutionarily, yes, we've developed a certain amount of I need to look out for me, for survival reasons.
Yeah.
And I would disagree with the idea that we're inherently selfish. In my experience, and I alluded to this earlier, it doesn't feel good when we're selfish. If we're really honest with ourselves, it's when we show up generous, kind, serviceful that we feel full. We feel like our whole best selves. And this is backed by research. I always like to prime it with tap into what it really feels like because I don't want to get all heady with everything. There's so much research that supports it, but I like to start with the feeling first. Even in mindfulness, steady the mind and like what is coming up for you for real in this moment, right? So, what is the feeling state first? Because that's something very easy to connect to and it's very authentic. We can rationalize our way out of almost anything, right? We can analyze the crap out of anything and then find a rationale, no matter how twisted it might seem objectively. But a feeling, it's there and you can't deny it. It is what it is. So you just tap into like how it feels to be kind, how it feels to have someone's back, and the response that happens, like my dynamic with my mother. It didn't really matter analytically what was right or correct or not. And I don't think there is any such thing in the grieving process anyway. I've learned that. But it was in responding to her as she was really feeling in that moment that created such immense capacity for love and connection. But now I will say this is research backed and supported. Another of the primary drivers of our well being is when we are in service to others. Like there's nothing like it. So, if you really tap into that idea, then
Yeah.
it all comes back to the same thing again that, listening to someone else deeply is a form of service, right? It's a form
And
of
I think it's
learning.
a skill that can be developed.
Absolutely 100%. And that's again why mindfulness matters because when you sit in a practice like mindfulness, where you're cultivating how to steady your mind, you inherently start to develop listening skills, better listening skills, and one of the practices that we love and that I teach clients a lot because this is so important in our modern world of shortened attention spans, particularly as they relate to our interactions with each other. Listening, right? Listening is like the primary driver of whether we're interacting in a constructive, dynamic way. One of our favorites is priming listening. So I like to ring a bell, my sound bell. I ring it, I say, close your eyes and raise your hand when you no longer hear it. I've done this in groups of all sizes, shapes, age groups, etc. And you notice on the first bell ring, hands go up really fast. It's like ping, like, and then I
Yep.
ring it
Yep.
again. And by the third round, the hands are going up a lot more slowly. What does this tell us? This tells us that all it takes is 1 or 2 practice rounds of listening for the bell, and you're already getting better at it. And you could imagine how that will prime your ability to listen to other things, other
Mm.
people, right? So we just prime listening, holding our attention on the sound, and then we can bring that skill right back to sitting in interaction with somebody and listening to the sound of their voice, and holding ourselves steady there. And, to the point you made earlier of how tempting it is to mentally rehearse what we're going to say as somebody else is speaking. This is a really important point. This is an important one because we often do have a lot of value to give someone else, right? So
Yeah.
they're speaking about, like, oh, I just had an idea. Now we're holding it in our brain and we're mentally rehearsing what we're going to say. It's a really great experiment and learning tool to not do that. Just try not doing that. Try to imagine that whatever you have to say is less important than just holding space for what the other person has to say in this moment. That maybe all they need is to be heard. They don't
Ooh,
actually
let's hold it. Let's hold it there. That's
okay.
golden. Let's go. Let's people, because again, my listeners, I love you guys. I know you're multitasking, and they say to me sometimes they miss the world, the words of wisdom. And I want you to hear, like, first of all, I'm jotting down things I want to make sure if they go away with just these 1 to 3 takeaways, it's going to be huge. And the first one, when you were saying mindfulness, being present for someone, just truly, being there in that moment for them is huge. I got it. And then I like that you said, which is huge, people, I want you to being there, present without the J word, judgment. So hold on to that. Being present, we haven't heard that in a while. Pax saying that, you got that? No judgment. Very tricky. Okay, now,
Yes.
again, let's go to point 2 and say it again because I really want them to get this.
Mm-hmm. What if all someone needs from you is to be heard? What you say to them is really of no consequence. What they need from you in that moment is just to be listened to. And guess what? This is what we find. This is what we find in the research. It's the connection is not about the advice you have to offer. There are people who are paid to listen in a transactional way, and that's a separate thing, and that's great because there are very skilled therapists who can give better advice than probably you can. So, like, don't worry about it. You're not trained in it. It's not your fault. What you exist to do in a relationship dynamic, family members, friends, non-transactional therapist type relationship, is just to be there to listen. Just hold space for whatever's coming up.
So, oh my God. I know I get checked myself all the time by my son. Okay? What I have to say is not that important. Like, mom. But now, and oh my goodness, the girl who cuts my hair said this to me. She had a friend, and I don't know if I thought it was great that, no matter what, she would start giving advice. She would get advice. And I said to her, why don't you tell her ahead of time what you need? Like, hey, Sally Bell, I really just need you to listen. But can you help me with this one? Because I don't know if I just said, hey, Sally Bell, I make up names. Are you able? I just really needed someone to listen to me. Or do you have the space right now or the time to do that? And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to try that. I don't know. What do you think of that? Saying to someone ahead of time?
I love it
Oh, you do?
because you're,
Okay.
yeah, you're developing agency around what you're needing from the dynamic. It's a lot easier than the guesswork or the resentment that might happen later that wow, I just needed like an ear. I really didn't need someone to give me feedback, advice, because that is judgment, right? They're judging through the lens of what they think is righteous or better for you in that moment,
Yeah.
and they're giving you that feedback, and you're going to get there on your own. Speaking of like the internal, the feelings, the insights, if we just took some time to get mindful about what's actually coming up and allowed ourselves to sit with the discomfort, we'd realize the discomfort is the signal. It is what is telling us we need to move in directions X, Y, or Z. So for the most part, we have all of that awareness inside of us. Talking it out is just helping us process that. So actually it might be more disruptive for someone to be giving you their guidance and feedback on some level somewhere you're already there. You just need to get there. You need like the journey to help you get to that intelligence that was already within you the whole time. So I love the idea of having the agency to be able to express, or maybe the first time someone tries to interject with feedback, you just say, thank you so much for like caring about me enough to want to offer advice. And I think I'm realizing in this moment I just need to talk to someone about it. I just need to talk it out. Is that okay?
I I this is perfect timing because so many of these things have been popping in my head. And I know my son every day makes me want to be a better person because I get
Children
so
are the
many
best
lessons for him.
teachers.
Yeah.
They're the
And
best.
but especially when you really care about someone, but I know it's like it's hypocritical because in my I've said to so many people, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I just solved it. I just even if it wasn't a problem, I just created it. You you said it brilliantly. You're going to work it out." And most times just talking to someone and having someone there present, by the end I just called my friend today. She's like, I said, "You're a genius." She's like, "I didn't say anything." Just her really caring about me and listening, I came to my own conclusion.
That's it. And how much more empowering is it? Not and empowering in two ways. Empowering because when we get to a conclusion on our own, we feel so much more confident in our ability to do it in the future. To whatever degree someone is always giving us advice, now we feel dependent on them. And that's like codependency happens, in extreme forms of that. But the other side of it is that, across the board, then we are, I mentioned the word agency, we're developing our agency in life, the trust and faith that we have the answers, that if we just give it some time, we'll get there. And that helps us develop a confidence, a self-reliance that is invaluable. Like there's no price you could put on the ability to develop that for yourself.
Oh, I want to hug you. Okay, so this is so good. This is so good. I want to make sure because I know come on, people, you're going to want to share this, with every single person. Like put in pause, go out and share it with peeps because it's so helpful. I'm even thinking about, oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to say it. It may or may not be at times, I'm giving advice because it makes me feel important or special, or it's my ego, like, you know what I mean? That they needed me.
For sure.
I'm going to admit it that, oh, everyone calls me for advice. Shut up, Weston. Right, right. Like, I want to be the person that has all the answers. That's my ego.
That is ego, and it's not necessarily untrue. I've been that force
I don't
field
have
with
all the
people.
answers.
None of us have all the answers, but there's some of us
Okay.
that have maybe more answers.
No,
Maybe
but
you've had more
seriously.
conversations with people, but it's true. So you've just filled up your cup with a little bit more wisdom in certain things potentially, and that's awesome. So there's nothing wrong with having that wisdom and guidance to offer. I'm
But
positing that, yeah, I'm positing that before we lead with our tendency to do that, I'm one of those too. Like I have generally been the person people came to for guidance and feedback.
and it feels
And
good.
And
like,
that's great. So when somebody's coming to me, solicited feedback, Pax, I would love your thoughts on this. They're asking me for that feedback, so I'm going to give it. That's a very different quality. And you know the difference from when somebody comes to you crying, X, Y, and Z happened, and you want
okay,
to jump in with the savior complex, the solution. That is
I
easy.
gotcha.
Or you're
Give myself
operating on
grace.
autopilot. So again,
Yeah.
you're not with them in that moment. You're going to a default autopilot mode, and now you're not present anymore. So the mindfulness, even for personalities like us, is to be mindful of what is this person really needing, or what are they asking for,
Yeah.
and that's why I loved the idea of lead with, I just need to be listened to. That makes it so much easier on us too, to take out the guesswork. It's like, oh, they just need an ear.
And I started doing this recently because I caught myself. I'm like, what is just let me know what you need. Like, did you want my advice? Or are you just wanting to, and then sometimes I'll say, you already know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's good or not, but I was like, at the end of it, I'm like, you don't really need my advice. You already know the answer to
And
this.
I might qualify that a little bit from my own experience in
Oh,
learning
please.
that can feel again like an unsatisfying judgment, because that person may not be there with their awareness yet. Like you see it, and that's
Yeah,
often the case, that we can mirror back to someone a reality that they don't see for themselves. Again, I find that that's more relevant to professional dynamics. Like if
gotcha.
somebody's paying me to do that, then me offering that feedback is what they've showed up for,
Yeah, yeah.
not
Oh,
not to go on
ooh, that's
reality.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But in a friendship dynamic that's not transactional, and thank God for it, it's important to maybe qualify that sort of response with, um, you know, it's possible you already have the answer. I would give it some time. Just sit with this. If you're able to kind of sit with it, I know it's uncomfortable, but it's that time of sitting with something that usually brings the answers to you. Try that. Like call
your
me,
way
let
is
me
way
know how
more
that works
nicer.
out. And it just feels in the receiver again like being
Oh my
listened
God, so
to
much better.
rather than being dictated to. So
You know it. Come on. Why you bother? No, I'm
yeah,
kidding.
why are we even here right now? You knew this
No,
was
I'm
yours
not
too.
that
And
harsh, but
then the person feels a little,
yeah, I
condemned.
get it. Okay, so we're going to be running out of time. We're not going to get to everything. Oh
That's
my God.
okay.
But
Hopefully
I
we'll continue to
do want
close.
to get to this one because some of the, not that it's not important when you feel stressed, overwhelmed, trigger, stop, breathe, and be, but we've covered it recently. So I want to dive more in and leveraging, oh my God, being present during COVID. You never saw a girl go out so much on her bike just to wave hi to humans. And they
Yeah.
used to call me the biker girl because I'd be like, hi, Billy, hi, Sally. And then I would go to where you could go Whole Foods just
Mm.
so I could talk to humans.
I really want to comment on this. I'm so glad you brought that up. There were a lot of blessings that came out of COVID, much difficulty, sadness, loss, destruction. And these are some of the glimmers, right? That it got us to recognize from a place of some desperation what isolation really feels like, and how much we need each other to thrive. How much our relationships, I said this at the beginning, this is the full circle moment. That experience highlighted, bolded, and underscored how much we need each other for our well-being. So this is one of my tips, right? So we're going to really bring it home now. Why should we need or wait for a moment of desperation like that to get it? And now I see it every day. I'm at the coffee shop, I'm standing in line, not 2 seconds will go by of someone being in line and the phone comes out, and we're disengaging from each other in the moments we used to crave. The bike rides, the Whole Foods, the coffee shops, when they were
Yeah.
closed, it was all we cared about. Like, when are things going to open so I can stand in that line and say hello to someone and catch their eye and have that connection? and we've like lost it again. So this is what I want to leave people with. This was one of my tips. When you have an opportunity to connect, take it. Be mindful of your addiction habit cycles of reaching for the phone in the elevator, in the grocery line, standing at the coffee shop, whatever it is, and don't reach for the phone. Be bold enough and brave enough to stand there and just look around. Oh,
Yeah.
and maybe catch someone's eye. Oh, and maybe have a conversation. Let me tell this quick story about this idea. I rolled up into the gym last week and I had a lot going on in my mind. Phone, and I was like, oh, I should eat something with my banana, all the things going on. One last sip of coffee before I go into the workout. And it was kind of frenetic, and I was about to reach for my phone, and I look in my rearview mirror and I see this woman like just looking completely lost. And there was a lot to do in that moment, truth be told, to like feed my body and like what my phone and all that. And I was like, this is the juice. This is the opportunity. So I put down the phone, turned off the car, all the things, took my banana with me, like I can walk and talk. And I took a moment to ask her, are you okay? She's like, I'm not. I'm completely lost. And we took a minute or two to just connect as humans. And I asked if it was okay if I tried to guide her a little. She said that would be great. And I guided her out of the parking garage around to the other entrance, asked her if she had seen landmarks, pretty much figured out she had gone to the other entrance, guided her on how to get back there.
Oh, cool. So
And that
simple, but
interaction with
so,
me is so simple. It stayed with me all day,
so
like
beautiful.
endorphins. It lit me up all day to know that I'd actually taken a moment to observe that somebody needed some help, brought some kindness to the situation, some trust that whatever was wanting my attention in that moment, grabbing for my attention, the phone, the addiction, could wait, that this human needed help, and it fed me all day long.
It's that simple.
It's that
I
simple.
love it. All right, I just want to touch on it really quick because I know you could have a whole separate podcast on it. But and we've talked about it before, but not in a beat. We carry negative bias. We're hardwired to spot what's going wrong. We get that. Well, most people who listen to the show. Retrain your brain into a positive bias and focus on all that's going right. The best way to prime this is through gratitude. So, give me an example of when you start thinking negative, how you click in with the gratitude.
Yeah, perfect. And this is one of my tips. So I'm going to efficiently weave the two together for the sake of time. Love it. Every morning, one of my power practices to stay in a joyful mindset is that first thing upon waking, I try to be mindful to make my first thought, oh my God, I woke up another day. I woke up to see another day. So I'm not taking this life for granted. I am not taking for granted that I woke up. The miracle of life is top of my mind. I try to make that the first thought that I have, because I've often noticed that if I don't work that practice, the first thought are the to-dos, the things that are broken and needing fixing, the things that are going wrong that I need to right? I bring that
Right.
with me.
First things, I
First
got to do.
thing, it's like flooding my brain.
Yep.
And this happens a lot when we reach for our phone first thing, because it's all the
Yep.
demands on our attention rather than cultivating the simple gratitude for being alive. So that's a practice I try to cultivate. And two for one, because I'm practicing gratitude, it's helping my brain retrain from a negativity bias, a negative attribution of what's going wrong to what's going right. And the biggest thing that's going right every day is that I'm still here. I'm alive. These 50 trillion cells in my body are working well enough for me to wake up, be conscious, and breathing.
Yep.
Winning, winning. And that's the positive attribution bias that I highly recommend cultivating. Gratitude is the most effective way to do that. And this simple practice of just starting to notice the first thought in your brain every morning when you wake up is a
Yeah.
great way to prime gratitude through the rest of your day.
And peeps, you may not say the same thing. I mean, I wake up and I used to like not even be aware of what thoughts were flushing in, and they're always different at different times. But I have a routine that I do about what the day is going to be like. and a word that I'm going to focus on for the day that shifts me into that gratitude mindset. So pick what works for you, and it doesn't have to be time consuming. Just that simple saying, oh my God, I had a great night's sleep. I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful to be alive. Here's another day, whatever it is, that small little thing has a huge impact over time.
Huge ripple effects on the rest of the day. And I'm just going to say, doing that before you reach for the phone, even noticing if you're reaching for the phone first before you do anything else, and starting to exert some mindful awareness and attention on, am I doing that? Okay. First thought in my head is going to be positive, grateful, happy to be alive, and then phone or other things.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
you will notice
Absolutely.
a huge difference in the way that your day is moving and your
Yeah.
life is
Versus
moving, right?
getting up. Nope.
Yeah.
I don't do it. All right. We have to wrap up. But it was awesome. And they have so many takeaways that I know they're going to want to rewind, rewrite, put them in the journal, replay. And the way you said them was, I mean, everybody can relate it to life, which is really important to me. How are they going to apply it to their life? And taking a complex, very complex subject and breaking it out so that everybody can use it and put into practice immediately. You could immediately go to the store and go, oopsie day, I'm not going to pick up my phone right now. I'm going to actually connect. Like something that simple. Or looking somebody in the eyes when they're yapping.
Yes.
Like immediately. Oh, and tomorrow morning when you wake up. So before we go, I want to make sure we get in this. Tell them about the program that you're doing with teens.
Thanks for asking. So, I have just launched the Mindfulness Matters for Teen Wellbeing program. This is a program that I've spent, well, like the majority of my life building in some capacity, but certainly in concentrated fashion the last year. And we're finally ready to go. It's mindfulness-matters.com. And this program is designed to teach teenagers ages 13 to 18 the skills and tools of well being. Much of what we talked about in the conversation today, right? Grounded in mindfulness.
Yep.
And then we talk about body feedback, biofeedback, and awareness, purpose, and everything in between. And the reason being that they are our future, right? We alluded to this. We have hope for that age group because it's so much easier, to inculcate mindfulness and some of
Yep.
these other skills in brains that are developing so rapidly. They have capacity for a lot of quick change. The other reason, though, is certainly that population tends to be written off as rebellious, recalcitrant, and we're missing this huge opportunity to intervene at an age where they can either go one way or another. And unfortunately, there are so many forces in our world right now that are pushing them to the other, which is to say, hijacking their attention and gaming it for profit. Whether you look at big food, big pharma, big retail, they're all doing the same thing.
Yep.
And I mean to push back against that system because what's happening to them statistically is now anxiety, depression, suicide spiking in that age group. So it just means that that gaming for profit story is having its effect. Where with mindfulness and some of these skills and tools of inner awareness, the agency that we talked about, we can flip the script completely. And now this young population can be thriving, and not just thriving for themselves, but for each other in their interactions and for the planet as a whole. They can be stewards of a planet where I would feel confident that in 20, 30, 40 years, the planet will not just be okay, but be thriving again,
Yep.
and that they'll have clean water to drink, clean air to breathe, all of the fundamental aspects of a good life on this planet that we've taken so much for granted. It's starting to go the other way. So the time is now. The time is now for these teenagers to have the skills and tools that they don't learn in academics or really anywhere else. So that's the program.
I'm so excited you're doing it. And how can they find you in general?
I'm at Pax Tandon on all socials.
Okay.
Mindfulness-matters.com is an easy way. You can book a call to just speak with me further about the program. So, for parents in particular who want more information from the source, that's a great way to do it. And again, at Pax Tandon, at Mindfulness Matters, Yo on Instagram. You'll see me out there. There's lots of ways to connect with me, paxtandon.com. So I welcome you to reach out. I look forward to hearing from you.
Pax Tandon, I'm glad we met. This is awesome.
Miss Sandy, this was a joy. Such a pleasure to be here.
I'm
And
so glad. I'm so glad we connected. And before we go, I have to do my little happy dance, but then I have to ask you, you get to whisper in every woman's ear around the world tomorrow morning, and men that support us, what do you want to tell them? If you're not watching, she has a shirt that says Mindfulness Matters. All right, my hey, I got something to say, people. I'm so grateful for you. I really, truly believe I've been blessed to attract the most amazing, awesome, caring humans. And I do not take that for granted. I don't. I really, every day, I'm like, I draw in the best humans. Everyone's like, oh my God, there's another amazing human. I really think they are. I forget there aren't all these amazing humans because they surround me for sure. So thank
I
you so
feel the same
much.
way about you. Thank you for
And
having
I
me.
share this with everyone. You're going to share, like, rate it. Pax and I would both really appreciate it. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Thanks, Pax, and toodles.